On October 12, 2021, another strange discovery sparked curious minds. From time to time, something out of this world comes around that excites the entire internet. This time, the space is something odd to say.
The galactic center is emitting some unusual radio waves, extraordinary signals that are unlike.
It was an unidentified radio signal from our home or the heart of our Milky Way. Can you believe it? What could this be? ASKAP radio telescope. It all began when the world was just recently struck with the COVID virus. In 2020, the University of Sydney set out on a mission. In fact, it was professional students together with their intelligent professors that made such discovery possible. Their main goal is to study our galaxy. Even though they can't physically explore the depths of the Milky Way, they relied on other scientific instruments. They used telescopes and antennas to unveil the secrets that are hidden in our galaxy. For this discovery, we have the Australian Square Kilometre Array Path, or in short, the ASKAP, to thank. The ASKAP is a radio telescope located on the Wajari Yamachi property across the wide desert plains of Western Australia. With over 36 antennas scattered in this area, they serve as an eye of the universe. They detect radio signals that pass across the Earth. In the galactic center, where they align the antennas and point out telescopes with all high hopes. After almost 2 years of their research, a strange radio signal was detected. The strange radio signal. Although the Milky Way is our home galaxy, its center is far enough to be thoroughly studied. The numerous dust that is present in that region makes it hard for scientists to dive deep into the unknown. However, using the help of the technologies that are empowered, the more we scrutinize, the more we learn. We're really just on the surface of the discoveries that are known to us. This radio signal was considered to be really extraordinary since it doesn't really fit in the models of cosmology. That's why scientists are having a hard time fitting their pieces of information on this strange phenomenon. In hopes of spreading their research, they published their findings in an article entitled The Astrophysical Journal. According to the lead author of the Astrophysical Journal named Zitang Wang, the brightness of the object varies dramatically, and the signal switches on and off apparently at random. Co-author and professor Tara Murphy also added in her statement that this object was unique in that it started out invisible, became bright, faded away, and then reappeared. This behavior was extraordinary. The scientist was also curious about the reason when they detected the radio spectrum. The radio signal appears to be 100 times brighter. Another feature of it is because of its high polarization. Polarization is the function of wave behavior that moves through time and space, as waves travel through the center of our galaxy until it reaches the detection of the antennas here on Earth. The scientists were really amazed by the radio wave's unique polarization, unique in a way that the light waves only travel in one direction, and that direction syncs well with the rotation of time. After investigating the unusual traits of this radio signal, scientists decided to come up with a name that fits well for this strange discovery. They named it ASKAP J1736608.2-321635. But that's a lot of numbers and it's difficult to pronounce, so they dubbed it the Ghost instead. The traits that this ghost embodies were not sufficient enough, given that the high polarization is just their basis. That's why the scientists attempted to detect this strange radio signal again. Luckily, they received 6 signals over 9 months in 2020. However, each time they encountered this signal, they're still left with no answer. So what they did instead is to extend their studies and further bring their investigation to other countries. Using the ground telescope of Chile, the Vista telescope failed to see any trace of infrared signal. The next telescope is named Parkes Telescope, located in New South Wales. But just like the Vista telescope, the Parkes telescope failed to also detect the source. Nevertheless, they didn't stop there. They also went to South Africa and tried to use another ground telescope named Meerkat Telescope. This time, the telescope was quite challenging, causing them to observe for 15 minutes every few weeks. With all due patience in detecting the signal once again, fortunately the signal reappeared. However, the downside this time is that the signal was not stable. The scientists said that the behavior source was dramatically different. Aside from the ground telescope they had used, they also rely upon the data that was obtained by NASA's Neil Gehrels Swift Observatory. Swift transmits its location to ground stations, enabling observation by both space and ground-based telescopes worldwide. But after all types of telescopes they tried, the strange signal still couldn't fit the puzzle. Using some of the few initial studies they altered together, the scientists laid out their different speculations. bring also an interesting revelation. Revelation and speculation of the scientist. Is there intelligent life out there? Is the universe teeming with life even on Earth's doorstep? Though we've put probes on Mars and our telescopes have pointed to the heavens, we haven't found any concrete signs of extraterrestrial life. Scientists can only assure one thing. They clarify that this strange signal is not from extraterrestrial life. So the truth is, it's just an object. Although they already clarified this information, the question isn't fully answered yet. We now just have a clue, but what exactly is this object? And that's where the speculations of scientists also arise. Considering the fact that the scientists already confirmed the signal as an astronomical object, so they now jump to the conclusion that this could possibly be a new breed of star. The electromagnetic spectrum is covered by the varying light emitted by numerous types of stars, and from the brightness it emits, we now have possible candidates from all different brightness of astronomical objects. The first speculation was said to be a pulsar. A pulsar is a spinning dead star, which has high polarization. Similar to the strange radio signal, they suspect it was similar to the pulsar signal due to its high polarization. However, the data and results of the scientists did not successfully detect the pulsations. Aside from this speculation, another type of dead star was represented as a comparison. Scientists say that the fast radio burst, or the FRB, is responsible for the phenomenon. FRB is when magnetic fields are responsible for associating with another kind of radio signal across the cosmos. So when they traced this radio signal, they were led back to a dead star known as a magnetar. But unfortunately, the manner of these signals differs from the radio signal. Since a tremendous black hole lies in the heart of the Milky Way, perhaps we can assume that this strange signal comes from the black hole. Although there is a tendency to believe that theories will be proven, the truth remains to be seen. So until then, we need to wait. Observations of the radio signal in the future will be able to refine its characteristics, revealing them more into sharper focus. This will happen in the name of the new telescope, the one who could possibly solve this mystery. SKA Radio Telescope. The Square Kilometer Array, or SKA Radio Telescope, will soon be launched, and it will be known as the world's largest radio telescope ever known. The SKA will unite the world's best minds in a deep space effort that'll redefine how we see our place in the universe. According to Professor Tara Murphy, within the next decade, the Transcontinental Square Kilometer Array, or SKA Radio Telescope, will come online. It'll be able to make sensitive maps of the sky every day. We expect the power of this telescope will help us solve mysteries, such as this latest discovery, but it'll also open vast new swaths of the cosmos to exploration in the radio spectrum. Isaac Newton once said, "What we know is a drop, what we don't know is an ocean." And that has never been more true. We're swimming in an endless sea of the cosmos. While we've been able to identify thousands of planets outside our solar system, there's still millions of other planets out there that have yet to be discovered. Even more stars, galaxies, and out-of-this-world objects that we haven't even begun to study yet. So, if you were a scientist, would you have the guts to study the unknown? Or perhaps you don't want them to be disturbed and just leave it all alone?